The summary report for policymakers of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC Working Group 1 has warned that changes in climate are becoming more apparent and evident. While blaming the scenario on human activity that has destabilized climate systems, the IPCC in its report released in Stockholm, Sweden, says global warming over the last 3 decades has been successive compared to the 1850s.
Knowledge is based on millions of measurements in the atmosphere, in the ocean, on land and ice, and from space. These measurements permit an unprecedented and unbiased view of the state of the climate system. Millions of billions of bytes of numerical data form the foundation of a physically consistent projection of a range of possible futures of climate.
The findings further indicate that the atmosphere and the oceans have been warming, resulting in rising global mean sea levels owing to high concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, giving rise to global warming that is melting the glaciers. The scientists are attributing this to increasing greenhouse gas concentrations and aerosols.
Our assessment shows that we do have a choice in shaping our future. Scenarios that have assumed determined interventions and strong mitigation offer a chance of keeping global mean warming under 1.5 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, scenarios that envisage continued carbon dioxide emissions or postponed reductions of these emissions indicate that options of limiting global warming to 2 degrees Celsius may become unattainable.
Because with every day that passes, Kenya is actually getting poorer in terms of the destruction of its natural wealth. And UNEP has seen this. UNEP is engaged in many countries. In the Iraqi marshlands, which were dried out by Saddam Hussein, we spent 10 years trying to restore a part of these marshlands which destroyed the fisheries, the ecology, the livelihoods of thousands of people. And how important the tourism sector is to Kenya in terms of employment, in terms of visitors, in terms of a whole industry. You take away that water, is there going to be a Mara or Masai Mara or a migration wonder of the world left? No.
Kenya is currently being affected by the effects of climate variability. Owing to the impacts and effects of this global phenomenon, the United Nations General Assembly mandated UNEP to provide leadership in addressing issues surrounding climate change.
So for every repeated cultivation event, you have organic matter being burnt and you have carbon being lost to the air as gas.
The impacts are already being felt by communities in Nyando of Western Kenya.
You have also heard that soils can give off nitrous oxide and so forth, and cows. So if you look across the farm, there's a whole range of different sources and sinks of greenhouse gases that are interacting, which is very unique for smallholder farming conditions in developing countries.
We call it Fanyaju Tumbukisa. I planted the Napier. After that, I planted Teutonia. I'm using fodder as for my dairy goats. The other side, I planted the trees. You can see the Susbena is there, Lucina is there. I planted the bananas, pawpaws. So now it is productive.
The erratic weather patterns notwithstanding, devastating floods and cycles of droughts have become more frequent and could be increasing in intensity. It is projected that climate change could result in economic losses of up to 40% of the national GDP of developing countries. Current statistics now show that 1 out of every 10 people around the world lives in a place where 2 or more sectors are impacted by climate change. This is manifested in the declining crop yields, diminishing water, destabilized ecosystems, or health complications arising from changes in weather patterns. The report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, indicates that global surface temperatures are expected to rise by between 1.5 degrees Celsius and 2 degrees Celsius in wet regions currently receiving high amounts of rainfall, while drought-prone areas receive less amounts of rainfall. This could further complicate matters for survival on planet Earth. For Earthwatch, I'm Judith Akolo.